Hola, it's Olivia. Maybe I'll start all of my travel series videos like that. I don't know. You let me know. But today I'm going to tell you about this one time that I randomly booked a flight by myself to Cartagena, Colombia at the age of, I think it was either 23 or 24, and all by myself because I was just fed up of studying for my chemical engineering degree and needed to get out of the country. Now, make sure you stay till the end because I'm going to dispel the biggest myth around solo traveling. In case you didn't know, my name's Olivia Tati. I used to be a chemical engineer, but now I'm a full-time nomad, real estate investor, interior designer, and world traveler. Oh, and content creator, of course. Wow, that's a freaking mouthful. I should find some sort of term that really compacts all of that. If you got any ideas, let me know in the comments. But I've been to 52 countries, and at least half of them have been completely by myself, solo traveling. Also, before we get into the really juicy content, can you please just hit that like and subscribe button? It's legitimately like the only way that I know that you guys are actually liking these kind of videos. If I see the uptick in likes and subscribes for these kind of videos, I know to make more of them. If I don't, I need to make less of them. So if you go ahead and hit that, that would help me so freaking much. And also, if you don't want to miss another video in the future, make sure to hit that little notification button too, you know, the little bell. That way it will notify you whenever I have any new videos coming out. Okay, let's get into it. So I am here to help you, fellow wannabe nomad traveler. And what I really want to do is dispel one of the biggest myths around solo traveling, especially for solo females, because I know that there's a lot of anxiety around that. And there's a lot of you guys out there that do want to go out there and travel by yourself. You didn't know, I'm actually a chemical engineer by trade. I know, I don't look like it. Everyone tells me this. But let me tell you, chemical engineering school is pretty gosh darn brutal. And I even got a master's in engineering and technology management. Why I did this, I could not really tell you. And I know, super freaking exciting, of course. Not really. Like, I literally lived a completely different life before. But one day, I was just stuck studying until late, and I was staring at the screen, trying to figure out coding, running formulas, all of that stuff. And honestly, just feeling pretty down in the dumps. So, of course, as one would, I just hop on Southwest Airlines and I start browsing, trying to see if there's any cheap flights. And I find a round-trip flight to Cartagena in Colombia for $126. Round trip. And so, you know, I did what any logical and responsible chemical engineering student would do, especially one who, you know, had a test coming up the following week, and I booked the flight. Just a quick 5-day, 4-night trip, or it was either 5-day, 4-night, or 4-day, 3-night, but basically an extended weekend trip, you know? And I figured, why the heck not? I literally had nothing to lose. I could study from wherever in the world. It did not matter. I did not need to stay in my tiny little Colorado apartment. And if you couldn't tell, I'm just a little bit impulsive. And honestly, I usually don't regret my impulsive decisions. So the funny thing is, the following week was actually also my American citizenship test, because I'm actually from the UK, born and raised in London. I know I don't sound like it, except with the random little twinges of British in there. I swear my brother sounds fully British. He's older than me. And I have a British passport. And I only became an American citizen in 2018. If you didn't know, in order to get your American citizenship, you have a written portion, a spoken portion, and then a portion where they ask you some questions about America, basically. It can be American history, it can be about government. And it's out of this bank of 100 questions. They are going to ask you anywhere from 5 to 10 questions from that bank of questions. And the questions literally range from name 2 US holidays like Christmas or Thanksgiving to what are 2 cabinet level positions. Like, very wide array. So what I ended up doing is I created flashcards with all of these 100 questions on them, and then I brought them with me to Cartagena. That way I could still be studying while traveling. It wasn't just for fun, you know, that whole digital nomad life, right? But suddenly I had a 5-day trip booked to Colombia for that following week. At the time, I honestly didn't know anything about Cartagena or Colombia or anything. Did I know anyone in Cartagena? Nope. absolutely not. But I just knew that there was this fun, beautiful adventure waiting for me. And I sure wasn't having any fun in my tiny apartment in Colorado where it was snowing and gross outside. So I packed myself up literally in my tiny, North Face school backpack. That was legitimately all that I packed and nothing else. And I hopped on my flight as suddenly I was in Cartagena, pulled up into my hostel, and spent the next few days exploring and enjoying life, carrying my 100 flashcards with me everywhere I went. And so here's the thing. I literally knew no one while I was there. I had no plans while I was there. And so the biggest myth around solo traveling, and one of the most frequent questions that I get asked all the time is, don't you get lonely? Or aren't you afraid of being alone? And the thing is you're never really ever alone. I literally have to fight to be by myself. This is so common, especially when you're in places where community is encouraged. Yes, you can choose to be alone if you want to. You can not participate in any events and stay in a solo Airbnb and never go out and talk to anyone. But there are so many more opportunities to meet people and not feel alone at all. Just a few hours after landing in Colombia, I'd already made so many friends. The first day, I made friends with these Canadian folks who were super wonderful. We just spent our entire first day there roaming and exploring the town. We had shared drinks together, got meals together. We even shared our contact information. I'm pretty sure I still have them on Instagram. And yes, for the first few hours, I was solo traveling and exploring by myself. I went to a coffee shop and I pulled out my flashcards and roamed around a little bit by myself. And I do think it's so important to feel comfortable and get comfortable traveling by yourself and doing things by yourself, because you learn so much more about you and you learn to love yourself a lot more too, and be okay sitting in your thoughts and not care what other people around you think of you. Trust me, if you haven't done it, it's just so freeing and accepting. But it's also so easy to meet people. And when you're solo traveling and don't have other people around you to act as crutches, it kind of opens up your soul and your mind to accepting friendship from people around you. But literally the next day, I went to this hostel in the middle of the ocean called Casa del Agua. And oh my gosh, this place would literally be the perfect place to add to my playlist of really cool stays around the world. Unfortunately, at that time, it was 2018. I didn't even have a YouTube channel. I don't think I ever even watched YouTube videos or even considered becoming a full-time creator. So the fact that I'm here right now is wild. But this place was so cool and such a great place to make friends. I literally made a friend standing in the ferry line to catch the ferry to get to this place. And we hung out literally for the rest of the trip. Casa del Agua is really cool. You get there by boat, and it's this hut, basically, this large hostel hut in the middle of the ocean. And you can either get a private room, or at the time I was going real cheap because in grad school, no money. Slept in these hammocks in this cool communal room. And we played games, we slacklined, we went kayaking, we went to see these cool bioluminescent plankton in the ocean, visited some cool local water villages, people who live on the water, and watched the sunset and the Milky Way, just so many incredible things. And it was so funny, everyone was so amused by my American citizenship cards, and we just spent hours playing them, and not gonna lie, these people weren't even from the US, and they were pretty good. They were better than any American people that would actually answer these questions. So then the next morning, I literally woke up early just so I could spend a little bit of time by myself, hanging out, because I was surrounded by people the entire time before that. And that way I could just at least lie in the hammock by myself and take in the sights and take in the views and just some peace and tranquility. Then we all left Casa del Agua and just hung out nonstop for the rest of my trip. We all went with one of the guys who were there to get a tattoo. He got the tattoo. He was the only one. I don't think any of the rest of us did. But solidarity. And then we went out dancing with the locals in the square. We went to Zumba, literally did everything all with these people that I'd never met before but met on my travels. And it was so funny because we literally get back to Cartagena at this point and I'm exhausted. I just need a few hours to explore and roam by myself. So I remember I went to the castle by myself. I went out to dinner by myself just because I wanted to spend some time alone. And here's the beauty about solo travel is you can easily say no to folks. It's different when you're traveling with a group and everyone kind of wants to do the same things together, But with solo travel, you can just say, I don't think I'm gonna go. I'll meet up with you guys later. So you actually get to choose what you want to do. It's fantastic. So that's the thing, you're never really alone, and that is truly the biggest myth around solo traveling, especially if you're traveling for a short period of time. Now, we can get into a whole other story about when I spent months traveling by myself. Yeah, those can get a little bit more lonely. But if you're just taking a short trip, you're probably not gonna feel lonely. And it's gonna open up yourself to actually meet people and get yourself out there. It's literally easier to meet people when you're traveling by yourself because you're in a way more open state of mind. And you wanna have these new experiences, make new friends, have these different conversations. Just be the little social butterfly that you always knew you were meant to be. Just kidding. Even if you're not a social butterfly, that's okay. Trust me, even introverts just have this pull and this sense to be a little bit more open when solo traveling. If being lonely or being alone is keeping you from getting out there and going on your solo trip, just know that you're not alone. And there are so many fun, amazing friends and adventures waiting out there for you. And the funny thing is, more crazy stuff happens, I feel like, whenever I'm traveling with friends. And if you want to hear about this one crazy story where me and my friend almost got kidnapped going from Croatia to Hungary, make sure you watch this video because it's a ridiculous story and it's truly shocking that we made it here alive.